Baby, this world is loud. It is no longer just the sound of birds greeting the morning sun, or the wind whispering through the trees. No, it's sirens and schedules, phones that never stop ringing, and voices shouting over one another, just to be heard. It's headlines screaming of grief, of war, of hunger, of hearts breaking open with no one there to catch the pieces. Everywhere you go, the noise follows like a shadow that forgot how to rest. It clangs at your peace. It rattles your soul. It whispers lies when you try to sleep, and demands your attention when you try to pray. Turn on the news, and sorrow spills like floodwaters over every shore. Injustice howls. Division screams. Despair groans under the weight of its own story. Step into the street, and the rhythm of life no longer feels like a dance, it's a chase. Everyone hurrying, no one yielding, hearts beating to the tempo of survival. Even in your own home where peace should dwell, the hum of worry sits beside you like an old unwelcome friend. Bills on the table. Questions with no answers. People you love, slipping through the cracks of their own loneliness. The world has become a crowded room with no door to silence. But hear me now. Hear me with your heart wide open. You were not born to live rattled and undone. You, my dear, are not some fragile feather blown about by every storm. You are the child of a God who carved calm into the core of creation. You are the echo of His stillness. You are the breath of His peace. You are the quiet in the thunder, the light in the dark, the steady in the chaos. No matter what this world says, no matter how loud the confusion grows, there is a deeper song playing, a song made just for your soul. It hums beneath the madness, soft and true. It sings, "Be still, beloved. Be still and know." You were born to know peace that sings louder than the storm. You were born to sit at the wellspring of God's presence and drink deep of a calm the world cannot counterfeit. Peace is not the absence of noise. It's the presence of something greater. It's not just found in the quiet, it is the quiet itself that finds you. This peace, this holy hush, is not timid. It does not tremble before chaos. It walks into a noisy world with head held high and settles down in the middle of the mess, like a mother pulling her child close in a crowded room. So, when the noise rises like a flood, when the voices of fear grow louder than hope, when your own thoughts feel like 1,000 drums beating out of rhythm, pause, breathe, close your eyes if you need to, and remember who you are. You are not the noise. You are not the fear. You are not the endless motion. You are not the ache of the world. You are stillness walking. You are the sanctuary the noise cannot touch. You are the beloved of a God who speaks in whispers and moves mountains with silence. Baby, the world will try to steal your attention, try to convince you that fear is the only language we have left, but I'm here to remind you, peace is still fluent. Hope still speaks. God still answers in the quiet. And if you lean in close, if you turn your ear not to the scream but to the still small voice, you'll hear it. That peace, that promise, that sacred song singing louder than the storm, it is calling you back to yourself, calling you back to God, calling you home. Philippians 4 verse 6 tells us plain and strong, as if heaven itself leaned down and cupped your face in gentle hands, be anxious for nothing. Now, child, that's not just a suggestion tucked in the corner of a forgotten book. That is a call, a mighty bold soul-deep invitation to live in a way that defies everything this world throws at you. Not for some things, not only the little things, not just the easy days, nothing. The word echoes like thunder, rolling through the valley. Be anxious for nothing. That doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you stop loving or stop fighting for what's right. It doesn't mean you deny your tears or pretend your burdens ain't heavy. No, sweet one. That would be ignoring the fire. But what God is offering you here is not ignorance, it is intimacy. It is not denial, it is divine deliverance. This is holy wisdom talking. This is heaven whispering to the storm in your soul. Peace, be still, be anxious for nothing, because the one who made the stars doesn't tremble. The one who shaped your heart knows how to hold it when it breaks. And the one who watched over you while you slept has already walked ahead into tomorrow. So come now. Yes, you come sit down. Let the weight fall off your shoulders like a coat no longer needed. Let the rushing thoughts quiet, one by one. There is no shame in being tired, no guilt in being afraid. But there is an invitation to stillness. Come, exhale that heavy ache. Breathe out the worry that's been living in your chest for too long. Let go of the what if. Lay down the need to control, the burden of fixing, the fear of falling apart. Come, and lay your worries at the altar of love. This altar is not made of stone, but of spirit. It is not in a temple far away, it is as close as your next breath. It is where you meet the God who is not angry with your fear but tender toward it. It is where you meet the one who says, I've seen every storm, and I am not shaken. Come close. The world tells you to hustle, to push through, to drown your worry in distraction or noise. But God's voice is different. It does not shout, it invites, it says, come and rest. Come and bring me what you were never meant to carry. Come, and let me remind you who you are. You are not the sum of your anxious thoughts. You are not the tension in your shoulders. You are not the question that keeps you up at night. You are not your worst day. You are not your fear. You are the beloved. You are the known. You are the heard. You are the seen. You are the deeply kept child of a God who has never left you, not for one moment, so be anxious for nothing. Child, not because everything is perfect, but because you are held. Held in a love that won't unravel. Held in a peace that won't fade, held in a grace that will walk with you through every dark valley and sing to you until the light returns. Stillness is not weakness. It is not giving up. Stillness is your strength. It is your sanctuary. It is your rebellion against the tyranny of fear. Stillness says, I may not have control, but I have a comforter. Stillness says, I will not be led by panic, but by presence. So tonight, or this morning, or whenever the noise gets too loud, remember this invitation. It is always open. It has your name on it. Be anxious for nothing. Come sit down. Come exhale. Come rest at the altar of love. Prayer, sweet one, is not just a ritual carved into time. It is not a performance, not a formula, not some long list of perfect words spoken just right to move a reluctant God. No. Prayer is a trembling heart turning toward the steady hands of the divine. It is your soul whispering, I don't have the answers, but I know the one who does. It's your spirit finding its way back home, back to a place of safety, back to the lap of a love that never left you. Sometimes we think prayer must be poetic, long-winded, filled with sacred words and holy phrasing. But baby, the holiest prayer you'll ever pray might sound like this: help, or please, or just your own tears falling without a single word attached. Prayer is not measured in eloquence, it's measured in honesty. The raw kind. The kind that cracks you wide open and still trusts you won't be dropped. And prayer, with petition. That's when you don't just speak to God, you bring your ache, you bring your need, you bring the heavy, misshapen things you've been carrying and place them down at His feet. Not neatly wrapped, not tied up with bows, but just as they are, dotted, saying, Lord, I've done all I know how to do. I've tried fixing, controlling, numbing, running, but none of it has worked. So I come to you now, not polished, but present. And child, that's all God has ever wanted. Not your perfection, just your presence. Now the scripture says, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. That means even as you bring your sorrow, you anchor it in gratitude. Yes, even in the grit, even when the sky is gray, even when the answers haven't come yet. Why? Because gratitude changes the atmosphere. It doesn't deny the pain, but it reminds you of the truth, that you are not alone in it. That grace is still working. That breath still flows through your body. That mercy met you this morning like it always does. So when you pray, don't clutch. Don't try to grip your requests so tight they become chains. You speak your needs, and you do it with open hands. That's trust. That's faith. That's a soul saying, I believe you hear me. I believe you care. And even if the answer doesn't come how I expect, I know I'm held. You see, prayer doesn't always change the situation immediately, but prayer always changes the one who prays. It realigns the soul. It steadies the shaking. It reminds the frightened heart that God is not far off, not some distant deity uninterested in your daily grind, but a loving presence who bends low to listen and never grows weary of your voice. There is power in petition. Not because it's a demand, but because it's a surrender. A holy releasing of the burden into the hands that molded the moon and named the stars. Hands that know your name too. Hands that have caught every tear. Hands that have never failed you, even when you didn't understand the road. So don't hold back, beloved. Ask, cry out. Tell God exactly what you need, what you're afraid of, what you're tired of. Speak your needs boldly, but release them gently. Leave them in the place where miracles begin, in the still space of trust. And when you walk away from that altar of prayer, you may not walk away with all the answers, but you will walk away lighter. You will walk away covered. You will walk away carried by the one who hears even the whispers of your spirit and answers with peace. Now, I've lived long enough to know, truly know, that holding on can feel noble. It can feel like strength, like duty, like love. But sometimes, beloved, the greatest strength of all is the courage to release. There is power in letting go, not weakness, not failure, power. There's power in looking up to heaven with hands trembling and soul weary, and whispering, Lord, I can't carry this one more day. And in that moment, that sacred moment, God doesn't shake his head, or ask why you waited so long. He says with tenderness, Child, I never asked you to. You see, we humans, we like to carry things. We hold on to pain like it's a badge. We clutch anxiety like it's a duty. We grip disappointment like it's a prophecy. We think if we let it go, we're giving up. We think if we surrender, we've lost. But the truth is, when we let go, we're not giving up, we're giving over. We're placing our burdens not into the void, but into the hands of the divine. Into the arms of a love that's stronger than anything we face. Into the heart of a God who has never once dropped what was entrusted to him. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop trying to control what was never yours to hold. It means you trust that the same God who brought you through the last storm will be faithful in this one too. I've known sorrow. I've held grief like a sleeping child in the night. I've clenched fists around regrets, and I've wrestled with what-ifs until my spirit wore thin. But somewhere along the way, I heard a gentle whisper not outside, but within say, let go. Let go of the weight that's crushing your joy. Let go of the bitterness that keeps replaying old wounds. Let go of the fear that's been running the show far too long. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to map every path or fix every broken thing. What you need is rest. What you need is peace. What you need is permission to stop carrying what God already claimed as his. Because, baby, peace is waiting, and peace will not force itself on a clenched fist. It comes softly, like a river flowing through a surrendered heart, like a lullaby humming over a restless mind, like a hand reaching out and saying, give it here. Let me carry this now. Let go, not into emptiness, but into presence. Not into doubt, but into divine certainty. Not into chaos, but into the arms of eternal stillness. Some things you've carried long enough. Some pain is not meant to become your identity. Some burdens were only passing through, but you've given them a home. It's time to evict them. Say it out loud if you must. Say it in tears, in whispers, in the dark. God, I give this to you. And then breathe. Let your shoulders fall. Let your soul exhale. Let the storm roll off your back like rain sliding down a window pane. Let go. And let peace do what only peace can do, because peace, when invited, knows how to take the fragments, the worries, the weary places, and cradle them in healing. Peace doesn't erase the wound, but it holds it until it becomes wisdom. It doesn't pretend the pain never happened, but it gives you a new name beyond the pain. And that name is free. That name is beloved. That name is held. So my dear one, if you're tired, if you're worn, if your heart is heavy from holding it all together, it's time. Let go. Let go into God's arms, where no burden is too big, no fear too wild, no past too tangled. Let go, and rest. Oh, that peace, that blessed, beautiful, breath-stealing peace. It is not just quiet. It is not the absence of noise, nor the hush before the storm. It is sacred. It is holy. It is a presence, not a pause. A power, not a break. Peace like that does not tiptoe. It doesn't knock politely at the door of your chaos, asking for entry. No, child, it walks in clothes, in glory. It comes with shoulders broad and light radiant. It takes its seat right in the center of your storm, unbothered by the wind, unshaken by the thunder, unafraid of the mess around it. The scriptures call it the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. Now let me tell you something. That word surpasses means it goes right on by what your mind can grasp. It outruns logic. It leaps over explanation. It stands tall in places reason can't reach. Because this peace, this divine, mysterious, unshakable peace doesn't ask for your understanding to be valid. It doesn't require the puzzle to be solved, or the problem to be fixed before it settles into your soul. No, it just is. Because he is, because God is still on the throne. Because God is still in control. Because love has never stopped reigning. And peace is the fruit of that everlasting love. I have known times when everything around me fell apart, days when grief made the air feel heavy, when uncertainty wrapped itself around me like a wet blanket, when the world shouted, you should be falling apart. And I almost did. Almost. But then came that peace, not loud, not flashy, but firm. Like an anchor dropped deep into the ocean floor of my soul. holding me steady when the waves said I should drown. Oh, that peace. It didn't remove the storm, but it reminded me who stood in it with me. It didn't answer every question, but it quieted the panic long enough for me to breathe. It didn't erase the ache, but it sang lullabies over my sorrow and wrapped its arms around my fears. That's the kind of peace only God can give. Not the world's kind of peace, with its conditions and contradictions. The world will offer you peace based on circumstances, if the bills are paid, if the diagnosis is clear, if the people you love are safe and the road ahead is smooth. But the moment one thing shifts, the peace is gone. It's as fickle as the wind. But God's peace, oh baby, it's different. God's peace stays, it abides, it dwells. It roots itself deep and declares, I will not be moved. It stands guard like a warrior over your heart. It stands watch like a mother over her child. It defends your mind from the attack of anxiety. It builds a sanctuary in your soul where the storms can rage outside but never breach the sacred inside. This peace isn't soft. It's strong. It is not passive. It is protective. It's not a pause button, it's a promise kept. And when you feel it even for a moment, you know you've touched something eternal. Something that came from the very breath of God. And the best part, it's available to you. Right here, right now. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to be perfect to receive it. You don't even have to understand it. You just have to make room. Just have to open your hands. Just have to whisper, Lord, let your peace be my portion. And watch how that holy hush enters the room of your soul. Watch how it covers your heart like a warm blanket. Watch how it settles the shaking and turns panic into praise. So if the storm is loud right now, if life doesn't make sense, if you're doing all you can just to stay upright, know this, peace is not waiting on your understanding. It's waiting on your surrender. And when you let go, when you lean into the arms of the one who loves you more than you know, you'll find that peace beyond understanding is already there. That peace, honey, oh yes, that blessed unbothered peace, it doesn't just come to visit. It doesn't drop by for a moment and leave you empty. The next know that kind of peace. It stays. It settles in. It takes residence in your soul, like a guardian at the gates of your heart. That peace guards your heart like a mother who never sleeps, watchful, tender, fierce when necessary. She sees the danger before it comes, and she stands between you and the night. Between you and the whispers that would unravel you. And your mind, mercy, your mind. That place where battles rage, where thoughts race, where fear builds castles of imagination too heavy to bear. God's peace stands there too, like a sentinel made of light and love, shielding you from the thoughts that come to steal your rest, in Christ Jesus. That peace doesn't just pat your back and say, there, you'll be all right. No, child, it keeps you. It keeps you when the grief gets heavy, keeps you when anxiety tries to take root, keeps you when the voices in your head tell you you're not enough, not seen, not strong. It keeps you from falling into the dark. When your footing slips, when the floor gives way, when life pushes you to the edge, that peace reaches out like a net made of grace and says, you will not fall. Not on my watch. And don't you think for a moment that you're walking through this world unnoticed. That peace keeps you from losing yourself to the noise. Because this world is loud, baby. It will try to name you, shame you, claim you for its own. It'll tell you to perform, to prove, to push yourself, until you can't breathe. But the peace of God, it whispers something different. It whispers, come back to yourself, come back to me. Come back to the quiet where your worth isn't measured by what you do, but by who you already are. Peace reminds you that you are not forgotten, not overlooked, not abandoned. Peace keeps you in the knowing, not just believing, not just hoping, but knowing deep down, way beneath the surface, in the marrow of your being, that you are held in hands that do not tremble, held in love that cannot be shaken, held in purpose even when you feel lost. That you are loved, not because of your perfection, not because you always get it right, but because real love was spoken over you before you were born. It wrapped around your soul before your first breath, and it will never unravel. And child, you are led through valleys, led through unknowns, led through days when you don't have the map but you walk anyway. Because you know the one holding your hand is trustworthy. This peace is not passive, it is protective. It knows where you're weak, and it fortifies you there. It knows where you've been hurt, and it stands guard so the wound doesn't reopen. This peace walks before you like a lantern in the dark. It surrounds you like a song in the night. It follows behind you like goodness and mercy on assignment. And it doesn't waver. Not in the doctor's office. Not in the courtroom. Not in the silence of your bedroom when the tears fall quietly. God's peace stays. It keeps. It watches over Sue. If today you feel weary, if you're questioning your strength, if the world feels like too much, and your own thoughts feel like too many, remember this: you have a guardian. And it is not fear. It is not control. It is not perfection. It is the peace of God, and it is holding the line for you. Standing between you and the chaos. Covering your heart, your mind, your very soul in Christ Jesus. You are kept. You are covered. You are not alone. So, what do you do in a world that won't quiet down? What do you do when the noise outside starts echoing inside, when the headlines are heavy, when the bills are piling, when your own thoughts are louder than thunder? What do you do when the world around you demands your attention, your energy, your peace? When everybody's talking, and nobody's really saying anything that feeds your soul? You walk in the whisper. Yes, child, you walk in the whisper. You do not run with the crowd. You do not chase the chaos. You do not let the noise name you. You slow down. You hush the clamor within. You place your hand on your heart and say, "There's a deeper sound, and I choose to follow that." The whisper of God doesn't yell over the world's volume. It doesn't compete with your panic. It waits. It waits for stillness. It waits for surrender. It waits for you to lean in, to pause, to make space for something sacred. In a world that tells you to hustle, God invites you to listen. In a culture that says, "Do more," God says, "Be still." And in that stillness, not absence, but presence, you find what you've been chasing all along: peace. So how do you get there? You pray with thanksgiving. Even when life doesn't look how you hoped. Even when the answers haven't come. Even when your heart is still bruised from the battle. You pray, not because God needs reminding, but because you do. You need to remember who you're talking to. A God who listens. A God who lifts. A God who knows the weight you carry and has already made room to carry it with you. So you pray with thanks on your lips. Thanks for the breath in your lungs. For the sunrise that showed up again today. For the grace that's been holding you quiet and close, even when you didn't know what to say. You give your worry to God like it's a burden He's been waiting for, because He's been waiting for you to unclench your fists, to stop pretending you're fine, to hand over the thing that's been burning a hole in your chest, and when you finally lay it down, not halfway, not with strings attached, but truly surrender it, you feel it. That peace, that holy, inexplicable, heart-guarding peace that doesn't explain itself, but changes everything. It walks in like sunlight through stained glass. It moves slow and strong, seeping into every crack the world tried to break open. It sings over your mind. Be still, beloved. You are safe now. And the best part, that peace doesn't just pass by. It makes its home in you. It dwells there. It settles in your bones. It becomes the new rhythm of your life. Peace is no longer something you chase, it's something you carry. A quiet anchor in the noise. A sacred center in the spin of the world. You are not left to figure it out alone. You are not left to fight for scraps of silence in a world that keeps screaming. You are not alone. Not today. Not ever. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible to the eyes of love. There is a holy presence that follows you into every room. That sits with you in every uncertainty. That cups your chin in its gentle hand and reminds you who you are. You are watched over by a love that doesn't sleep. That doesn't tire. That doesn't flinch when you cry. And doesn't leave when the dark comes in. A love that stills the world and stills your soul. So walk, child. Not in fear, not in frenzy, but in the whisper. Walk in it like it's a path paved just for you. Let it guide your steps, light your thoughts, and remind you with every breath, peace is not out there. It's in you. Walk in the whisper. And let your life become a quiet testimony to a God who speaks not with shouts, but with stillness. And leads not with pressure, but with peace.